Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a guide video to basically tell you how to customize any weapon to its maximum potential. So how it works is simple. We're going to go through loadouts and different weapon types. I'm going to give you my insights, my perspective, and my thought process when I actually customize a weapon. So that's how the video is going to work. And today's video is going to be just a little bit longer than previous videos, probably. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's just jump straight in. Just to make sure to go down in the comment section, let me know what you think about the video. And also, if you have other weapon setups or you have different opinions on different attachments, you make sure to let me know. We're going to learn a few things from each other, right? So let's jump right in and see what we have here. So starting off with assault rifles, I believe the thought process for assault rifles and carbines should also be the same. In my opinion, they're pretty close when it comes to how you want to customize them. So just for the sake of it, I'm just gonna go with the B36A4 because I have all the attachments unlocked here. So in my opinion, what you should really aim for is your grip when it comes to recoil control, okay? And that is because of the fact that you can't really do much with your muzzle attachments because you should always have a suppressor because how Battlefield 6 actually works. The 20-point suppressor is a must on any weapon. We're going to put that on. In my opinion, the next thing that you should actually spend your points on has to be your grip. Now, I see a lot of people actually use the slim angled or the full angled, and in my opinion, that's a very good thing to do on some of the weapon types. But in my opinion, most of the carbines, almost all of the assault rifles, don't really need these two, simply because what you're going to do is decreasing that ADS time from, let's say, 250 milliseconds to something like 200, right? However, in the process of doing that, you're going to lose a lot of your recoil control. And in my opinion, that's not something you want with almost any assault rifle. Yes, we have exceptions, but we're going to talk about those as well. So in my opinion, one of the best grips out there for recoil control, and it works best on almost all weapons, at least weapons with just a decent recoil. We're not talking about TR7 here with that ridiculous recoil, but something like the B36 actually has a manageable recoil as it is. But with this vertical, it's going to get a lot better. So if you're struggling with recoil control on any weapon, my suggestion is the 6H64 vertical. This grip is just great. And for 25 points, in my opinion, it's really worth the points. If you really believe you don't have a problem with recoil control on a weapon, in my opinion, your best bet is going to be the full angled. And I see a lot of people actually use the slim angled, but in my opinion, just a little bit more recoil control would never hurt. The only problem with the full angled is the ADS accuracy while moving, which is going to be decreased, but we don't know the cost. Like, there is no number. You can't actually measure how much ADS accuracy you're going to lose. Because of that, and because I really haven't noticed a lot when it comes to most of the weapons while using some grips that actually decrease your ADS accuracy, I do believe that it's not something you should worry about. So don't really worry about that. Focus more on your recoil control, in my opinion, because on most of the weapons, having less recoil just simply means landing more of your shots, and it's going to make your gunfights easier. And for ADS time, I see a lot of people aiming for lower and lower ADS times. In my opinion, anything below 250 doesn't really matter at all, especially on assault rifles and carbines, because those are the weapon types that we're talking about right now. For those weapon types, that really doesn't matter. So what you're going to do, in my opinion, is you're going to stick to something with more recoil control, and this ADS time, that 50 millisecond, in my opinion, doesn't matter. But if you really think that your recoil control is okay, then full angled or slim angled should be your go-to option. We're going to stick to 6H64 vertical here. For your barrel, in my opinion, most of the times you're going to need some sort of extended barrel because it's just going to make things easier, and it's just going to cost you like 5 more points, which is basically nothing. However, on some weapons, you can go for the light barrel as well. It's going to decrease your muzzle velocity, but it's going to give you some faster ADS times. It's going to give you some ADS accuracy as well. So maybe you can compensate for that ADS accuracy that's decreased by the vertical and use the light barrel. In most of the scenarios, in my opinion, what you should do is sticking simply to the extended barrel because that's going to do the job. Now for laser sights, people are arguing between the blue laser, the 20-point blue laser, or the 20-point green laser. What I believe works in most scenarios is the 20-point green laser. And the reason for that is this is something you can measure because it's going to give you more hipfire accuracy, and that's going to be it. The blue laser, however, gives you less hipfire accuracy, but it's going to improve your ADS accuracy. That's what it does. Again, you don't have any idea how much it increases that accuracy. So this is not something you can measure. So in my opinion, you should stay off something you can't measure when it comes to stats and just simply go with the green laser, because hipfire accuracy for carbines, SMGs, and assault rifles, in my opinion, has to be a top priority, because most of your gunfights would be in close range, and when people get to you, when they actually get into extreme close ranges, your hipfire accuracy will actually determine the winner of that gunfight. That said, this is how I basically customize almost all of my assault rifles. You can go ahead and use the penetration bullet, although I don't find it really effective. Your side is personal preference, and I almost always use the 30-round magazine or default magazine, whatever it is on that weapon. So this is how I basically customize my assault rifle. Same thing actually goes with my carbines as well. Most of my carbines have the same exact setup, and in my opinion, for recoil control, getting your maximum potential out of any carbine, in my opinion, that setup has to be your go-to setup. However, for SMGs, things will get just a little bit different, and we're going to talk about why. So for the SMGs, there are things that actually make sense when it comes to choosing your grip. Again, for almost all of my SMGs, I go with the 20-point green laser, because hipfire for SMGs is key in my opinion. And also your standard suppressor has to be there, okay? Now let's talk about grips. Take a look at this. Your folding stubby and your slim angled are both 20 points. Now keep in mind, for carbines and for assault rifles, your full angled and your slim angled grips are all 25 points. And that's why those grips are actually losing to 6H64 in my opinion, because they actually cost you the same. But here for SMGs, that is different. Your slim angled is actually now 20 points. And that's almost the same with your folding stubby. Now keep in mind that most of your SMGs actually don't have that much of a recoil, and the recoil on them is somewhat controllable. So in my opinion, your best option for any SMG has to be the slim angled, because it's going to reduce recoil to a degree, and it's also going to make ADSing slightly better without downside. You can go ahead and use the folding stubby as well, same points, but it's going to cost you your ADS accuracy while moving. However, it's going to give you just a little bit more recoil control. So again, my personal preference most of the times is the folding stubby, because I don't really care about that ADS accuracy while moving, especially on an SMG, because most of my gunfights are in close range, and the ADS accuracy that it will probably cost doesn't really matter in my opinion in that range. So the folding stubby has to be my go-to option, but again, the slim angled is also a perfect option. Go with whatever you like, and that's going to be it for the grips. And for most scenarios, the extended barrel has to work perfectly on almost any SMG. SMGs by default have a slower muzzle velocity. That extended is going to give you just a little bit more, so it's going to make it easier to track targets at mid-range. And in my opinion, the extended has to be your go-to option here as well. And with that said, you still have 5 points remaining. In my opinion, for SMGs, having that fast mag is something that you can count on in most of your gunfights, because you're going to run out of ammo a lot and you're fighting in close quarters. It's just fire, reload, and the same cycle, right? Because of that, the fast mag works perfectly on most of the SMGs, and this is what I always use on my SMGs. The same goes for the MP5 as well. You can actually implement the same thought process on almost any SMG here, and in my opinion, that works perfectly on almost all of them. Now moving on to LMGs. LMGs, in my opinion, have a completely different world again. So I'm just going to talk about the M250 here. This is my favorite by far. So for scope, I most of the times use the BF2M 2.5 times. This scope is actually clear when it comes to your reticles and all those kind of stuff. And the 2.5 magnification is something on point in my opinion. It's not too much, and you're going to be able to basically see everything you need to see in the battlefield. So that's going to be my favorite scope on LMGs, but you can go for whatever you like when it comes to scope. That is actually personal preference. Again, I'm going to put the standard suppressor on just for the sake of being just a little bit more stealthy on the minimap. Now in this specific case, I use the heavy extended because I don't really have any other option. But if you have the extended option, like not heavy extended, the extended only option, in my opinion, it's worth a try, because you're just going to get some sniper level muzzle velocity with those extended barrels on almost all of the LMGs. So make sure to use that as well. For my grips, I usually stick to the 6H64. Again, that's a very good grip when it comes to recoil control, and almost all of these LMGs kind of need it because you're using a higher magnification scope. You're going to feel that recoil more. So that's what I use. And my laser on this specific LMG is going to be the 20-point green laser again, because this one just has a ridiculous hipfire accuracy inherently, and to increase that, I basically have to use that green laser sight. This depends a lot on your playstyle. If you believe that your playstyle kind of promotes sitting in the corner, you know, being always ADS, then maybe you don't want to use that green laser sight or any laser sight at all on your LMGs. But for my playstyle, I usually find myself a lot in CQB scenarios. For those scenarios, I really need that hipfire accuracy even on an LMG. So that is my thought process going into the LMGs as well. Again, for every single weapon, you should have your own playstyle in mind, and you should actually know what the pros and cons of your weapon are. And then based on that, just simply decide what attachments you want to put on that weapon and just go for it. Try things out, okay? Now moving on to DMRs, and I'm not a huge DMR player, I have to admit, but I know one thing. In my opinion, for DMRs, you don't need laser sights. That's just something that I don't think I need. I usually don't find myself a lot in places where I need to start hip firing with a DMR. And again, if you find yourself there a lot, that has something to do with your positioning, okay? That's not because of the weapon or the weapon is incapable. That is just your positioning. DMRs are meant to be played in medium to long range. So just try to stay away. For my scopes, I usually believe DMRs don't need anything above 6 times, but again, scope is personal preference. You go ahead and put on that whatever you want. The standard suppressor has to always be there. The extended barrel on snipers and DMRs, in my opinion, are a must, so you should always have that on as well. I don't believe you need rangefinders on sniper rifles, on DMRs. That is just waste of points. Bullet drop in this game literally just doesn't exist compared to previous Battlefield titles, honestly. So it's going to be really easy for you to compensate for your shots. You don't have to waste your points on rangefinders, okay? What I use most of the times is, again, the 6H64 vertical. You can go ahead with the classic vertical as well. It's going to give you just a little bit more control over your weapon. And for this specific M39 EMR, the recoil control is kind of off. So you basically have to use something to keep that control over your weapon. And because of that, sometimes you might even need a classic vertical for this. Because we still have points remaining, I usually use the 20-round fast mag on the M39 EMR as well. And for that 5 point that actually remains here, I usually use the mag catch here just for the sake of simply reducing my recoil time just a bit. It's 5 points. There's not a lot you can do with that 5 points, so basically increasing my reload speed has to be the only thing that I should do here. For your sniper rifles, the same actually applies. 20-point suppressor, your extended barrel has to be there. However, for your grip, you don't really need control over your sniper rifle because it's a bolt action. So what you should do is actually using the slim angled here. The slim angled is actually better than the full angled simply because it doesn't really cost you your ADS accuracy while moving, and that is something that really matters for sniper rifles because you're constantly moving, even sometimes during shots to avoid bullets coming from other snipers. It's a whole different story. Basically using the slim angled has to be your perfect bet here. So go ahead and do that. Standard ammunition, standard magazine. My preferred scope most of the times is 8 times, but 10 times scopes are also fine. And finally, the ADS bolt is something that I really like. I don't really like to use any laser on my sniper rifle because I see a lot of snipers beaming lasers from afar. So I'm just sitting there knowing exactly where they are because their lasers are just gonna hit me in the eye, and it's obvious they're aiming at me, and most of the times I'm just easily countering them. So I'd say my scope glint is enough to give up my location. I don't need a laser sight to do that for me as well. So to be that stealthy sniper, in my opinion, lasers won't do much for you. So this is my build for my sniper rifles as well. So again, that was my perspective on customizing my weapons, my thought process going into different weapon categories. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and hope this video was helpful, somewhat informative. Make sure you know your playstyle. Make sure you know how things will go for you when it comes to different weapon categories, and customize your weapons based on that. In my opinion, a lot of people actually make the mistake of going for decreased ADS time, forgetting or let's say sleeping on some recoil control, where in reality, in my opinion, the recoil control has to be your top priority in most of your carbines, assault rifles, even LMGs, because you being able to land more shots will give you more benefit than being able to just go ADS just a bit faster, like 50 milliseconds, sometimes even 30 milliseconds faster. In my opinion, that wouldn't do much in most scenarios. So thank you all guys for watching, and until next time, guys, stay cool.